So kids with mutations are said to have alien DNA. Some Indians consider these severely deformed children to be gods. I would not be surprised if Shiva was the first nuclear mutant to gain goddess status on Earth. Carbon dating has found radioactive isotopes linked to nuclear bombs used in Rajasthan over 8,000 years ago. Ancient manuscript, copied from aliens that had laid waste to their own planet through nuclear, and they surfed the galaxy, spreading the nuclear Death Star technology. Perhaps an ancient civilization used these nuclear bombs as they surfed the galaxy, spreading their nuclear Death Star technology. Far-fetched? Maybe. Maybe not. So kids with mutations are said to have alien DNA. So I'm not really saying this kid has alien DNA, but perhaps it was aliens that brought the technology to humans, and the stupid humans used their ancient, archaic, stupid suicidal technology. Perhaps it's not so far-fetched after all.
Climate change, nuclear. Climate change, you need reactors. Climate change, radioactive light bulbs. Climate change, global warming, build a nuclear plant.
Al Gore, the nuclear whore. So Shiva, her 6 arms, you think that's God's gift? No. That's an evil gift that somebody got. Fukushima. How many Fukushivas are we going to have in our society? Hundreds, thousands, millions Fukushivas? An ancient city found in India, irradiated from atomic blast. Radiation is still so intense, the area is highly dangerous. A heavy layer of radioactive ash in Rajasthan, India, covers a 3 square mile area, 10 miles west of Jodhpur. Scientists are investigating the site where a housing development was being built. For some time it had been established that there is a very high rate of birth defects and cancer in the area under construction. The level of radiation there had registered so high on investigators' gauges that the Indian government has now cordoned off the region. Scientists have unearthed an ancient city where evidence shows an atomic blast dating back thousands of years, from 8,000 to 12,000 years, destroyed most of the buildings and probably over 500,000 people. One researcher estimated that the nuclear bomb used was the size of the ones dropped in Japan in 1945. The Mahabharata clearly describes a catastrophic blast that rocked the continent. A single projectile, charged with all the power in the universe, an incandescent column of smoke and flame as bright as 10,000 suns, rose in all of its splendor. It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt, a gigantic messenger of death which reduced to ashes an entire race. Corpses were so burned as to be unrecognizable. Their hair and nails fell out, pottery broke, without any apparent cause, and the birds turned white. After a few hours, all foodstuffs were infected. To escape from this fire, the soldiers threw themselves into the river. Historic comments by Kisiyara Mohan Ganguly says that the ancient sacred Indian writings are full of such descriptions, which sound like an atomic blast, as experienced in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He says references mention fighting sky chariots and final weapons, and ancient battles described in the Drona Parva section of the Mahabharata. The passage tells of combat where explosions of final weapons decimate entire armies, causing crowds of warriors with steeds and elephants and weapons to be carried away as if they were dry leaves on trees. Instead of mushroom clouds, the writer describes a perpendicular explosion, with its billowing smoke clouds as consecutive openings of giant parasols. There are comments about the contamination of food and people's hair falling out. Archaeological investigation provides information. Archaeologist Francis Taylor says that etchings in some nearby temples he has managed to translate suggest that they prayed to be spared from the great light that was coming to lay ruin to the city. Archaeological investigation provides information. Archaeologist Francis Taylor says that etchings in some nearby temples he has managed to translate suggest that They prayed to be spared from the great light that was coming. He managed to translate, suggests that they prayed to be spared from the great light that was coming to lay ruin to the city. It's so mind-boggling to imagine that some civilization had nuclear technology before we did. The radioactive ash adds credibility to the ancient Indian records that describe atomic warfare. Construction has halted while the 5-member team conducts the investigation. The foreman of the project is Lee Hunley, who pioneered the investigation after the high level of radiation was discovered. There is evidence that the Rama Empire in India was devastated by nuclear war. The Indus Valley is now the Thar Desert, and the site of the radioactive ash found was of jet quarries around there. Consider these verses from the ancient 6500 BC add to the latest. Modern mankind could not imagine any weapon as horrible and devastating as is described in the ancient Indian texts, yet they very accurately describe the effect of an atomic explosion. Radioactive poisoning will make hair and nails fall out. Immersing oneself in water gives some respite, though it's not a cure. When excavations of the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro reached the street level, they discovered skeletons scattered about the cities, many holding hands and sprawling in the streets as if some instant horrible doom had taken place. People were just lying, unburied, in the streets of the city, and the skeletons are thousands of years old. Even by traditional archaeological standards, what could cause such a thing? Why did the bodies not decay or get eaten by wild animals? Furthermore, there is no apparent cause of physically violent death. The skeletons are among the most radioactive ever found, on par with those at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. At one site, Soviet scholars found a skeleton which had a radioactive level 50 times greater than normal. Other cities have been found in northern India that show indications of explosions of great magnitude. One such city found between the Ganges and the mountains of the Rajamahul seems to have been subjected to intense heat. Huge masses of walls and foundations of the ancient city are fused together, literally vitrified, and since there is no indication of a volcanic eruption at the Mohenjo-daro or at the other cities, the intense heat had to melt clay vessels can only be explained by an atomic blast or some other unknown weapon. The cities were wiped out entirely. While the skeletons have been carbon dated to 2500 BC, we must keep in mind that carbon dating involves measuring the amount of radiation left. When atomic explosions are involved, that makes them seem much younger. Interestingly, Manhattan Project Chief Scientist Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer was known to be familiar with the ancient Sanskrit literature. In an interview conducted after he watched the first atomic test, "Now I become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all felt that way. Fukushima." When asked in an interview at Rochester University 7 years after the Alamogordo nuclear test whether that was the first atomic bomb ever to be detonated, his reply was, "Ancient cities whose brick and stone walls have literally been vitrified, that is, fused together, can be found in India, Ireland, Scotland, France, Turkey, and other places. There is no logical explanation for the vitrification of stone forts and cities, except from an atomic blast." There's a giantly unexplained crater near Bombay. Modi will spend $2.5 billion on dirty nuclear technology. Modi vows to push dirty nuclear electricity, making India the third largest investment in radioactive power in the world. Modi Dodi frying bodies with radioactive waste technologies. To improve the electricity scenario in the country, we've worked on 4 fronts: production, transmission, distribution, and connection, Modi said. The plan will be funded by a mix of federal government grants and cleared by state utilities loans, according to a statement. They have Toshiba building some plants over there in India. India third in nuclear power installations study. India is third in the world in the number of nuclear reactors being installed at 6, while China is leading at 20. Here we have an Indian power plant where they are growing mutant food, and they like that it's doubling their outcome of food. So they're happy they increased their yield of radioactive food. Mutant food.
फसलों में मुनाफा भी बढ़ा है और उपज भी बढ़ी।
मेरा शिवा बना है गणेश के नाम तेरा रूप मिलता है।
Since he was born, 6-year-old Pranshu has been told that he looks like Ganesha, the Hindu god of beginnings and the remover of obstacles, both spiritual and material. The people in his village, including his family, believe he's the reincarnation of the elephant-headed deity, and they come to him for blessings. His father even calls his son by the god's name.
I want to provide a warning that some of the pictures and videos I show in the next part of the video are graphic and disturbing. And you'll see that these mutations are severe. It's very sad, and I feel that calling them gods is the Indians' way in dealing with the deformed child. How many more mutant gods will India and the rest of the world have if nuclear constructions continue, making more radioactive waste? You can close your eyes for a while if this bothers you. I would understand. People compare severely deformed newborn baby to an alien. The newborn baby boy, who has not been named yet, is otherwise healthy. Yeah, he looks really healthy. A newborn baby boy who was born with severe facial deformities is being derided by fellow villagers as an alien. The as yet unnamed child was born to Karishma at their home in the Aligarh in the Indian state of the Uttar Pradesh in the earlier hours of Tuesday morning. Now, I've looked at Uttar Pradesh, and what this article does not mention, Narora Atomic Power Station. The Narora Atomic Power Station is located in the Bulandshahr district in Uttar Pradesh, India. We'll get back to that. But I think this is where some of these atomic kids could be coming from. In the Indian state of the Uttar Pradesh, in the earlier hours of Tuesday morning, the baby to his mother's shock was born without ears or a nose, and with the eyes that protrude out heavily out their sockets. Girl born with elephant trunk deformed is worshipped like a god in India. Villagers in Uttar Pradesh again have flocked to see the divine baby even after doctors warned a genetic mutation may be to blame. Yeah, maybe. Genetic mutation from radiation. Baby has been dubbed Lord Ganesha. A baby girl is reported being worshipped like a god in India after she was born with a facial deformity resembling an elephant's trunk. Villagers near Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh have flocked to see the divine girl in the belief that she is an incarnation of the elephant-headed god Ganesha. They have continued despite doctors' warnings her condition may well be a genetic mutation, Asian News International reported. The newborn's aunt. My sister-in-law gave birth to a girl, and her face looks exactly like Lord Ganesha. Everybody's saying she's an incarnation of the god. That's why whoever hears about her is coming, here to get a glimpse of the baby, and are making whatever offerings possible. Blessed villagers near Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh, have flocked to see the divine girl. Reportedly born 7 a.m. on Thursday, is said to be the fourth child in so far ordinary and healthy family. Her facial lump is between her eyes and appears to have divided her nose in two when the girl was still in the womb. Doctors will examine the baby girl to find out the extent of her condition and whether they need to operate. They have warned the condition could be a genetic mutation triggered by malnutrition and increased pollution. Yeah, she didn't drink enough milk, huh? Not enough Australian milks. In 2003, reported by the environmental magazine Down to Earth, said workers in Aligarh, an industrial zone, face poor sewage works and nightmarish working conditions. Now this is the Narora atomic power station, Uttar Pradesh. Look at these stupid reviews here. These people actually got a 4.4. Oh my goodness. I think they like paid these people reviews or something because they sound stupid. Awesome place and beautiful atmosphere in the naps. My favorite place. I don't want to leave this place. It sucked. I hate it because this is my social book. It's the only like negative review I've seen of this place. Pretty sad. Gamer Maniac says, awesome view at night far away, kinda glowing and lighting like Disney World. It feels attractive and awesome. Happy that we've got a power plant in Narora. Just in hopes for 2 more units, it would take much time to change Narora completely. Yeah, just 2 more nuclear reactors to fry your brain completely. My favorite place. I don't want to leave this place. Nice place. Beautiful place. Club India. I am so called close to the area, but never been able to up to which I listened about. That thing it must very hyper science land. And soon as I get a chance to visit there in the future, I will definitely update my review. Way to go, Club India. Yeah, take them to the club and they don't come back. Or you come back with a tumor. Ashish, my favorite place. Singe. That's the guy who's building all these nuclear reactors, by the way, like the same last name. That's a popular last name, I guess. Sanchietif, I love this place. Quidar Khan, so beautiful place and naps. Our out the road is amazing. In riding and most important, natural fresh air. So love this place. Yeah, nuclear radiation is naturally freshly contaminated. Mr. Khan. Nice area. Local guide. Awesome place and beautiful atmosphere. I like it. This is so good. A place to visit. I want to see this place. I like it, this place. My father worked this place. Very nice. Excellent location. Very nice. Excellent atomic power station, Uttar Pradesh. Love. This is application. Cool. Now this is the Open Journal of Pediatrics. Found this pretty sadly interesting. Changes in congenital anomalies, incidents on the west coast of Pacific states, USA, after the arrival of Fukushima fallout. So this is actually a group of pediatrics that got together and found this. Radioactive fallout after the March 2011 Fukushima nuclear meltdown entered the U.S. environment within days. Levels of radioactivity were particularly elevated in the 5 western states bordering on the Pacific Ocean. The particular sensitivity of the fetus to radiation exposure and the ability of radioisotopes to attach to cells, tissues, and DNA raise the questions of whether fetuses, newborns with birth defects with the greater exposure suffered elevated harm during the period after the meltdown. We compare rates of 5 congenital anomalies for 2010 and 2011 births from April-November. The increase of 13% in the 5 western states is significantly greater than the 3.77 decrease for all the other U.S. states combined. Consistent patterns of elevated increases are observed in the West, 20 of 21 comparisons, 6 of which are statistically significant, borderline significant, by state's type of birth, defect, month of birth, and month of conception. While these 5 anomalies are relatively uncommon, about 7,500 cases per year in the U.S., sometimes making statistical significance difficult to achieve. The consistency of the results lends strength to the analysis and suggests fetal harm from Fukushima may have occurred in the western U.S. state. Where the aliens get those big heads from, huh? Birth defects? Now, are you fucking kidding me? Creepy, sneaky scientists confirm that Fukuing is giving you cancer. Now, I'm saying Fukuing. You can figure it out what I'm really saying. You dirty dogs and sluts, you had it coming to you. No, I don't think Fukuing is causing the dramatic rise in cancers. It's Fukushima. The diagram is showing passageways of the throat, mouth, thyroid, where radioactive food, drinks, and air come in contact, not the lower private parts, so I'm calling this bullcrap to this nuclear media cover-up. Researchers say a virus is taking over as the main cause of oral cancers in Canada. Virus.
The mouth and throat were expected to go down as more and more people stopped smoking. Instead, new research reveals a virus has taken over as the main cause of oral cancers. CTV's medical specialist Avis Favreau on HPV and its link to the potentially deadly disease.
The yellow part is the delineation of the tumor itself.
This large tumor in the throat seen on this
HPV or Fukushima
is an oral cancer caused by HPV, the human papillomavirus. And a new report is warning there's a growing number of cancers found in the throat, tonsils, and mouth that are being fueled by this now common virus.
HPV-related oropharyngeal cancer is increasing, and the speed is higher than what we suspected before.
The latest numbers show that 74% of all mouth and throat cancers were caused by HPV, some in patients as young as 20. That's up from 47% in the year 2000.
Good. I'm Jennifer.
For dental hygienist Jennifer Cece, the first symptom was a lump in the back of her throat. The treatment, 2 surgeries, and chemotherapy. She's now cancer-free.
If they have a lump on their neck that's painless, or if they have a sore in their mouth or in their throat that doesn't heal after 14 days, they definitely need to be checked. So we're going to go ahead.
The results say doctors underline the importance of prevention by vaccinating both girls and boys against HPV.
Vaccinating.
Spread through sexual contact, and men now make up over 80% of these new.
Let's just give you more medals.
Meanwhile, these scientists are working on an early detection test for the many thousands of Canadians already infected, using a blue light to make cancerous tissue visible and easier to remove. And quick identification of cases is important, say doctors, in order to improve survival from this new and clearly fast-moving cancer. Avis Favreau, CTV News, Toronto.
A lot of people still mocking me about Fukushima. That's fine. Again, it's been going on for 6 years and no solutions yet. So you can tell me all you want about engineering and how well those plants are engineered. The ones in Japan are built by General Electric. which have, I believe, 52 others just like those in Japan that failed. And by the way, Chernobyl was a 30% core breach in 1986. 30%. They lost 5,000 plus military and construction workers trying to contain that. They're doing a second containment even as we speak. See, a meltdown, per Dr. Michio Kaku, New York University Physics Department, a meltdown is forever. So now you have three reactors, 100% core meltdown in all three, 100% core breach with all three. Don't even try to do comparisons with me. Don't even try to tell me how well engineered things are. I get sick of hearing it. You're working with a dynamic environment and you're trying to put a static system on it. You're a moron to even think that it'll last forever. It won't. The fact that you've all been deluded by Atoms for Peace and their damn propaganda drives me nuts. It is not cheap. Every nuclear power plant is subsidized by the federal government and your tax dollars. They make no profit whatsoever. The only profit there is from the DOD and the DOE selling the plutonium and uranium to other marketeers because they don't produce it as quickly as we do. There's also a whole lot of funny stuff going on in the international scene of where that plutonium ends up. So the NRC, the EPA, they're not doing their job. Nobody is doing their job. We can go back to the warnings about the industrial military complex. Well, we're there. And if you don't wake up, if you think that MAD, mutually assured destruction, is a good solution for, or a good deterrent to war, you're a moron, because our enemies are not Russia. Our enemies are not China. Our enemies are the individual idiot who gets a hold of enough plutonium to build his own nuke. And has a high probability now with as much plutonium as out there on the loose, gone Mustang. I've been to California. I've seen the devastation that Fukushima has wrought. The time when I put in my report, about what was going on, what the devastation is on the coast, that's when suddenly Ken Bessler comes up and admits, oh yes, we're finding C-137 from Fukushima washing up on shores in California. Let me give you a real big clue here. Cesium-137 is an actinide. It does not travel alone. It travels with plutonium. It travels with strontium. It travels with iodine. It travels with americium. It travels with things that are far worse, and they go all the way across and coming to us. Ken Bessler claims it's too expensive to test for plutonium. He's NOAA. I think NOAA has the tax money to test for plutonium. It's a lie. To avoid admitting they lost 700 pounds of plutonium into the atmosphere and into the sea from reactor number 3, which is a MOX reactor. And I know for a fact that's what happened. Anyone who wants to argue it, please show me your proof that I'm wrong. You won't find it. Just like a pipe organ, those rods shot up all the powdered plutonium right in the atmosphere when reactor 3 went up. It breached the top of the containment. We know this for a fact. Everyone that studies this and looked at it knows it for a fact. All of us across the northern hemisphere have been breathing in plutonium for the past 6 years. And the frog's talking back to me. So, you can call me a nutbag. You can call me a liar. You can call me a fearmonger. I'm just telling you the facts. Your government hasn't. When your government decides to tell you the facts, then they come up with excuses. Right now, the big excuse is, oh, it's climate change causing the die-off in the oceans. BS. Complete BS. Now, I'll admit there's overfishing. I'll admit there's other issues. But starfish don't just dissolve because of climate change. They have been here much longer. There was actually starfish were here during the Cambrian explosion. So something would make starfish extinct in an area of the Pacific Ocean has to be chemical or toxin. There's only one toxin, plutonium, because it mimics calcium. Starfish need calcium from the ocean. They take in plutonium, they melt. It's that simple. Same things were seen during the Marshall Islands test. There are no starfish in the Marshall Islands. They're extinct there. Why? Because we tested nuclear arms there with plutonium. It's already been documented. Now, you want to go research it? Be my guest. I'm not going to give you the links anymore. I am tired of running my footwork trying to prove things to you. Once I prove them, you come up with another distinctive criticism of my proofs. I don't care anymore. I really, really don't care. I'm giving you truth. I'm giving you facts. You want to call me a fearmonger? You want to say, oh, you're going to create a panic. Well, guess what? You should be panicking, maybe. Maybe this world needs a little panic. Maybe this world needs some people to stand up and say, you know what? This is wrong. I'm tired of doing it by myself. I understand there's a lot of other people still trying to do it, like Kevin Blanche, Brad Chick, and Dana Durmford, and I'm not working near as hard as they are, and certainly I'm not making a living at it. I'm just wandering. I'll keep you updated on what I know. You ought to look at ENE News if you want to keep updated on the facts, the stuff that the media does not publish. In fact, the only media report we've had in the last 3 months was actually on Fox News. And they talked about how they're finding high levels of radiation emitting from where the cores were in the containment. Even though they cannot locate the cores, we've got high levels of emissions. That pretty much means the cores have left the building, just like Elvis. They're out of containment. They're in the subterranean river that flows beneath the Fukushima plant. And yes, I can tell you all about that in 1972. It was built by General Electric, surveyed by General Electric, and completely guaranteed by General Electric to be safe for TEPCO to operate. Basically, they screwed up. This is really not TEPCO's fault, really not Japan's fault. I'll blame GE. I'll blame the real facts. It's General Electric. And General Electric brings good things to blight in every case. It is the worst corporation in the nation. If you have General Electric stock, I suggest you sell it unless you've got no moral compulsion against death with your money. That's how bad this is. I won't even start on Westinghouse. They're just as bad trying to build their next generation reactors. There is no reason to license any more nuclear reactors. They're a failed idea. What is a product worth if, say, you own a general store and you have so much shelf space? You get this product, but the problem with it is it contaminates whatever shelf space it sits on. So you won't be able to use that shelf space again for anything else. But you keep getting this product, so you keep putting it. So now you start having blank spaces on your shelf all the way down your general store. This is what a nuclear reactor does. And we haven't even begun to work on the waste that we've created. We are talking metric tons out the yin-yang all over the United States, stored in spent fuel pools that are just ripe for anyone who's smart enough to know where the pool is and how to target it as a terrorist. You want to see hell on earth? We're almost there. Now, what about if there is a war in this country, or in a country where there is a nuclear reactor? How's that reactor going to keep going? How do you keep it cool? What happens when the power supply shuts off? Because guess what? They need electricity to keep the pumps going, to keep the spent fuel pools cool, to keep the reactors cool. Without that, you have Fukushima. You know, you say, oh, we'll get diesel fuel there. They have generators. You ain't getting diesel fuel through a war zone. You believe you can? Look what happened in Cap Anaconda over in Iraq. Sure was hard to get diesel when they needed it. And let me tell you, if a war happens, those are just, well, targets of opportunity to a well-trained soldier. Wake up, smell a coffee, no nukes, no more. We don't need them.
Why did the U.S. government purchase 14 million doses of potassium iodide after Fukushima? We are Tomodachi, which means friends. Fukushima food safe and delicious now? This was the Operation Tomodachi, as the sailors tried to scrub the ships of radiation off the decks of the Ronald Reagan. And despite their efforts, many of them still brought the contamination down with them. Operation Tomodachi. The Ronald Reagan went through the direct plume, twice. Radioactive ash on the deck of the Reagan. But now the IAEA is recognizing this as a safe food, yes. Enjoy safe and delicious foods from Fukushima in years to come. And this is the Fukushima reconstruction mascot, Kibitan. This guy looks like an evil scientist. Dr. Jose Silva. Yeah, the Japan government's been very supportive and very transparent in the face of this situation. We don't see any reason to raise concern about the safety of food from Fukushima. FAO and IOA Joint Division. Are people eating food from Fukushima? Yes. High quality foods from Fukushima are sold in the supermarkets all over Japan and are quite popular at the same time. As the safety of the Fukushima foods is being acknowledged internationally, import restrictions by individual countries are being lifted step by step. The EU's European Commission is also currently considering lifting its import restrictions on rice and other foodstuffs this autumn. Message from the farmers. Rice. Fukushima is a beautiful place, known as the land of water, now known as the land of contaminated water. Because of its rich supply of excellent water, the land produces great rice and great sake. Please visit, eat, and discover Fukushima. Our rice is delicious and safe, of course! This guy looks like the Grim Reaper or like the funeral director. Oh, because they're saying that doses were low and cancer rates are currently not expected to be significantly elevated due to radiation. Operation Tomodachi, friends. Hopefully GE is gonna pay the Operation Tomodachi wounded nuclear vets.